Hello, I don't know if this is showing up on our pages yet. I am double checking to make sure that it is. Um, and also waiting for guests to join us. I'm checking multiple pages at once if anybody is watching. I am Michelle Seidman. I am the Chief Bottle Washer of the National Women in Blues. We are here today to do a panel on how the silence is deafening in the blues world in hopes of bringing more of us together. And I see that we are currently live on YouTube. I do not see us yet on Facebook. I am double checking to see if we're on Facebook yet. Not sure why one live is working and another live is not. And so I'm doing three things at once. I will pull the link. Pardon me, folks, I'm working on multiple devices. So if anybody is watching me right now, it may seem a little strange to see one person who is looking at their screens. But the link does not seem to be posting as expected. So I am currently trying to make sure that the links are shared appropriately so that people can find this live stream. And since I know we're live on YouTube, I'm going to immediately share that over to our Facebook pages and groups. So if you are watching now, this is why you're looking at a person and nobody doing anything just yet. So hold tight. There's the live. We're grabbing the link. Give me the link. Oh, and I actually have some people watching. All right, hello. I'm trying to get the link on here, and it's giving me a hard time. And I actually have some people watching. All right, hello. I'm trying to get the link on here, and it's giving me a hard time. And I actually have some people watching. All right. And I'm figuring this out. I will make sure that it is everywhere it needs to be. And then get the discussion going. It's quite interesting to listen to a delay because I'm getting it from multiple devices at once. And this is quite interesting because I'm hearing myself in echo. So I apologize to anybody for any delays. I'm getting it shared to everywhere it needs to be shared. And it's trying to... Don't you hate when something's trying to post in a way that you don't want it to? And that echo will go away as soon as I turn the volume down on all these other devices. Okay, there we go. That should help the echo. Hopefully you don't hear that. I'm going to be waiting for some guests to arrive. We have people coming from the blues world to join me. And again, tonight's panel is not meant to divide, but hopefully to bring more of us together. And to the National Women in Blues, we do not consider this particular issue a political issue. We consider this a humanitarian issue. And not everyone knows this about me, but those who do know that I come from a multi-faith family. And we all got along. And so I'm going to steal something from the Christian side. To me, this is sort of like Luke 15. you know, you've got that flock of sheep and one of them wanders off, and when it wanders off, you leave the flock to get that single sheep. And the reason being that that flock together is fairly safe, but the sheep that's off and been divided is most likely to get hurt and injured. And I believe that that is part of what we have been seeing with the African Americans in our country, that they've been divided from us. And for those of you who love blues, you're very aware that blues comes from, and it looks like someone is joining me. Well, that's good. Oh, I'm so excited. I've got Vinnie Marini joining me. Vinnie, I'm going to bring you on screen if you're ready. Or are you just going to listen in? You can let me know in the chat section if it's available to you. For those who don't know, this is available on a mobile device, but if you are going to actually stream or join the panel through the StreamYard link, it is definitely easier to do so on a computer. It just works better. Vinny, I see your ceiling. You can always text me and let me know whether or not you want me to bring you on screen. Vinnie Marini is an absolutely wonderful DJ who has been supporting blues artists around the world for a long time through his shows. He's quite good at what he does, and we're very lucky to know him. Let me get these devices back on the screens I wanted them on. There we go. All right. We are doing, like I said, we're doing multiple things at a time. If you can see the reflection of my glasses, see, I've got a whole bunch of different devices open, and that's so that I can monitor things. Anybody who does end up joining this discussion already knows that we have a rule that we don't want anyone to play the shame game here. We're not here to blame and shame anybody. We won't be here discussing, who's not doing what. That's not the point of this panel once people join in. And I don't know if you're going to be stuck with me as a talking head for a little bit. So, and since that's possible, I will share some knowledge and history and why we, the National Women Blues, decided that we would hold this panel. First and foremost, I'm older than a lot of you. I've been involved in civil rights fights since I was, a kid from the 60s and 70s. And so, unfortunately, what's going on isn't new to me. What's new to me is that since then, I have become much better versed in our history. And a lot of people, they're kind of bored by history. They don't like it. And I get it. Some of it can seem very tedious, but what I know is that without knowing our history, we are doomed to repeat the same mistakes. And so by recognizing our blues community and the history that it brought to its music, that it brought to an entire world over time, I think it's important. I think it's important that we discuss this in rational and reasonable ways. I do know that some of the artists that will be joining me at some point, because everybody has different schedules, we should be seeing Teeny Tucker in here today. We should be seeing Erica Brown. I believe Lori Grayboys is going to join in. If you are currently watching this and you would like to be part of the panel discussion, you would need to use the StreamYard link that's been provided in our event invite and can be seen on the banner that we provided when we posted this. I feel like I'm a talking head right now, and I'm sorry to any of you who are like, wait, I expected a whole panel. Since I've been doing this a long time, and I've been not just involved in the civil rights issues, I've been involved in the blues world for a long time. And one of the things that I did, and I know a lot of you did this, okay? I know a lot of you did this. You found amazing blues artists who had been around long before you were born, who were willing to share information and stories and skills with you. And I did my sojourn, and I played in Ground Zero, and uh, I listened to, Honey Boy and Pine Top, and a lot of these people. I've had the great honor of performing in the past with Taj Mahal, Big Bill Morganfield, and we actually swapped life stories once in song at an after party. It was quite fun. We sang our lives to each other. So blues has meant a lot to me in my life, and knowing its history and knowing its roots and where it came from, and then seeing not a lot of discussion in the blues world about the BLM sort of surprised me, to be honest. And that's one of the reasons why I also said that anybody who joins the panel, there's no naming, no shaming, because we all have different reasons for why we do or don't talk. One of the things I noticed, and I mentioned this, it was my statement when we posted about doing this panel, was that I have been going to protests and standing on the front line and being a support system. That's it. It's like, it's not my place to talk. This is my place to stand here. I'll stand on the front because they're less likely to shoot me. Who wants to shoot a little old white lady? You see, I'm given the benefit of the doubt, and I'm trying to stop using the term privilege anymore. Partly because I think a lot of people feel that when the term privilege is used, it means that they're getting something special, some sort of gift, some sort of perk. And I think when we say benefit of the doubt, it becomes a little clearer that there are things that I have been given the benefit of the doubt with law enforcement that we don't see African Americans given. And it's one of the reasons why the rates are so high, and the difference being almost 33% higher that unarmed African Americans have been shot and killed. But it's not just that. It's back from the Civil War. We really didn't fight to free the slaves. That was a byproduct of the Civil War. And we've moved to a systematic form of racism. And it's not that every Black person suffers this. And some white people suffer this. That's another reason why I wanted to have this discussion. Oh, well, hello, Meredith. I see you there. Are you ready to join? I can pull you into the stream. Hi, Meredith. I'm going to finish the thought and then invite you to share your thoughts.
Okay.
Okay, so, the reason for having the panel and asking people to come in and talk was so that we could have the discussions that maybe we aren't having. I've had a lot of discussions with African American women who said to me, and surprised me, they said, Michelle, we want you to talk. And I was like, wait, what? I thought it wasn't my place. In this case, I'm just the support system. And they said, no, we need more white people to talk, to speak up, to say, it's not cool what's going on, and it's not politics. It's not religion. This is a humanitarian issue. When we have any members of our society, be they Black, white, Asian, Latino, being marginalized, we should all come together and say enough's enough. And before I turn this over to Meredith and get some of her thoughts on the silence in the blues community, let me remind you that nobody will ever, ever, ever say all lives don't matter. No one will ever say that. I go back to that Luke 15. We've got this group that's being sort of pushed off in the corner. Well, that's who we need to go and kind of rally around right now. And that's what I'm hoping to encourage in the blues community, is that we rally around and we find the ways that we can comfortably support them. So Meredith, holler at me. Tell me your thoughts on the BLM and the blues world, and that how they should come together.
Well, all I know is that in my time in the blues world, I've met some really beautiful, talented Black individuals and women, and I think they're some of the most fantastic people I've met. And I think as a culture, we need to change the way that we interact between the different races. I think that for far too long, white people have been really silent, and I just think we just felt like, oh, I'm going to say the wrong thing. But quite recently, one of my friends of color reached out to me at the beginning of all this and was like, look what happened. And I was like, whoa. And so I've been getting more involved, and I don't want to be late to the bandwagon, but I'm here, and I'm here to uplift my sisters.
I'm absolutely happy that you are here. And you'll be seeing some beautiful Blue sisters and some other supporters coming along the way, because we have some people I know who are joining from the West Coast. We've got people coming in at different times. You know, and you said something I thought was very profound. Being afraid to say the wrong thing.
I think people that are white probably go a lot of their lives in the last century afraid of saying the wrong thing because of everything that's gone on in the history of this country, and how terrible it's been treating like half of our people, you know?
Yeah. Well, percentage-wise, it's not half, but you know, when you start adding in other minorities and stuff,
Yeah.
it is getting to almost half, and we are starting to, you know, kind of divide, and we don't want to do that. You know, we're stronger together than we are apart, you know. And I don't know about you. I don't know if you've been involved with any of the BLMs in your area, but I've been going to. Okay, good. I've been standing on the front holding a sign. You know, like I tell them, give me which sign you want, and I stand there and I see a car and I do this. I see a car, I do this. You know, I spend a couple hours there until it gets crowded enough that there's a lot of young people who can outlast me, and then I get out of the way. But it was really interesting. The last time, it was so poignant to me that some cars would drive by and they'd be like, honk, 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 honk. You know,
in a good way, right? Or is it bad?
Or they'd be, no, in a good way. And they'd be yelling out the window and throwing fists in the air. And I would say, okay, you know, they're with us. But then I saw more vehicles drive by where somebody would go like this, and they'd kind of like look out the window and be like, give me a nod. Or I'd see, you know, a little bitty, you know, like one of these, you know.
Well, we just need to invite them. We need to be as inviting as possible.
Well, and those are the people I'm like, come on, let's talk. You know, and don't be afraid of saying the wrong thing, because hopefully somebody will go, oh, here, yeah, it was wrong, but it's okay. Here's the better way to say it, or, you know, or here's why it's a wrong thing to say, you know.
You don't want to diminish the importance of Black Lives Matter by saying something like all lives matter over that, because you know, the Black Lives Matter movement to me isn't about you know, it's not to say that everybody else doesn't matter, but it's to say that these people have been treated the worst, and hey, Black Lives Matter too.
Yeah.
Can you please acknowledge that? You know,
it's kind of funny, because I sometimes wonder if it had been branded Black Lives Matters too, that it may not have caused a bunch of people to jump up and go, but all lives matter. Because again, nobody said they didn't.
Yeah,
it's say that. I'm one of those people. I'm a bleeding heart. I love all people until they prove themselves to be a douchebag. I love all
douchebaggery, racism of that highest, worst sort is really lowest IQ ranking, in my opinion.
Well, you know, the interesting thing is, I know a few people whose IQs aren't that high, and yet they are so kind and thoughtful and sweet. You know, they would say anything negative to somebody that was different than them, you know. And then you get some highly intelligent people that, you know, they've got degree after degree after degree, and they're spouting all kinds of vile stuff that.
So let me retract that. It's more like it's evil. It's evil to maintain a prejudice like that. And in some cases we can reach into these people's hearts and show them why they're negatively affecting people.
Well, you know, the interesting thing is I think that especially within the blues world, most people in the blues world get it, understand it, support it.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like a lot of them are, like you were saying, they're like afraid to say the wrong thing. They don't know what to say. Or like I was feeling, you know, with how I deal with the protest. It's my job to be in support. It's not my job to be up front and talk. I'm not their speaker. I'm just a human pawn sitting here
Mhm.
to help buffer and to show that more than just one race of people think this is an issue, you know,
Mhm.
because like I said, I think more of us think that than don't. I just sometimes wonder why not as many people are speaking.
Well,
Okay. Oh, we just got a thumbs up from Carrie, Carrie LaPie. She's, all of a sudden I'm worried if I'm saying her name right. Oh, she can kick me later. Carrie, if I said the last name wrong, you can kick me. But she's listening in, I think she's on YouTube. I'm trying to watch YouTube and Facebook and StreamYard all at once, and I'm doing a lousy job at it. Hey, Carrie, if you want to join us, you can use the StreamYard link and join us. I posted the StreamYard link. It's on the event invite, or I can send it to you in a message. Actually, I can do that real quick just in case she decides to. So let me ask you a question, because this is something that, when I was having these discussions with this group of women, was that, and not only that, individual phone calls I had later, is that some people feel like the BLM means different things. And to me, it's very possible it does. So what exactly does the Black Lives Matters movement, what does that mean to you? Can you hear
are
me?
you asking?
Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
asking me?
Yes,
Oh,
sorry. Yeah, Carrie is is just watching at this moment. So
oh, so you're asking me.
yes, ma'am.
It's a movement, and it's a movement we've needed for a long time. It's actually been a movement going on for centuries that's not been listened to enough. It's kind of crazy that it's 2020 now, and a lot of things are not fixed, like inherent systemic holding back of people of color. I was surprised that in school they don't teach you about the bombings in Oklahoma that went on to that entire Black neighborhood of wealthy Black people, and that all over something really, really trivial that didn't even happen. They accused a Black man of something he didn't do, and then that whole neighborhood got bombed. And I feel that it's important that we make the most progress in history at this point.
It would be nice to make progress. For me, it's a little frustrating, being that I'm older and I was around the civil rights movement in the 60s and 70s.
That must be frustrating.
It's like, really, do we have to do it again? But as I am a history freak and I read all the time, and I pay attention. The way I explain redlining to a lot of people is a story about when I was a little girl. My mom was taking me, I think I was on my way to a YMCA class for swimming. And we went through a neighborhood that was predominantly African American. And I asked my mom, I said, Mom, how come some of these people have really, really nice cars, but their houses are really small and not, fancy? And she said, Michelle, that's because some people think that their money isn't good in certain neighborhoods, but the car dealership doesn't mind who he takes his cash from. And I kind of want to go, well, then let's all be like a car dealership. Let's stop worrying about where the cash is coming from. Is this a good person? My community in Wilmington, North Carolina, unfortunately, is famous for something that I hate admitting, but is a truth and historical. This was a predominantly affluent African-American community up until the late 1890s. And in 1898, November of 1898, the Democrats, because back then the Democrats were the conservatives and the Republicans, we flipped, okay? The Democrats were very upset that the African Americans held a lot of power and owned homes and had properties, and they were they were doing great. And they gathered a lot of other white folk, and they came in and started slaughtering people and burning down their homes.
Unbelievable.
And basically, we went from, I think it was something like 47 or 50, somewhere between 47 and 50% African American community here, to less than 30%. And that's even dropped some since then. And that was because they literally wanted all their property. They didn't want them to have anything. They called them uppity Negroes. It's like, okay, so, and this is after, the, Civil War. So it's kind of like, that's just a jumping off point. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but if you go into certain communities, and they're not just African American communities, because you'll also see it in lower socioeconomic white communities, it becomes a system of, we arrest you, we fine you, we arrest you, we fine you, we arrest you, we fine you.
Mm-hmm.
And it keeps this cycle going. And often, and what I said earlier when it was just me, was that I'm not going to use that term privilege anymore. Things that I would be given the benefit of the doubt, and a cop would kind of go, all right, well, I'm just warning you. That's not what's happening in certain Black communities and in certain lower socioeconomic white communities and Latino communities. We have created this divide of you've got or you don't. You're white and you're Black. Carrie, hello, beautiful. Let me add you in here. Hey, Carrie.
Hey, Carrie.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
How's everybody doing?
We're doing.
We're here. We're here for you.
Right.
We're here to have the discussions. We're here to make sure that they're had. So let me do a little kickoff with you, because one of the things is that BLM does mean a lot of different things to a lot of people. What does the BLM mean to you, Carrie?
Yeah, that's a big question. It means to me it's a cry in the darkness for help, for equality. They just want a seat at the table to me, because, or maybe a seat that the leg's not uneven wobbling, they just equality for all, it's like enough's enough, equality is what it means. We want equality.
Yeah.
And justice and fairness and just an equal chance at the American dream, if you want to make that a broad statement. But that's what it means to me. And I heard earlier that Meredith said that it wasn't taught in school a lot. I heard you say certain things they just kind of skimmed over. That's why it's important to go back to learn revisionist history, because history usually is written by the winner.
Yeah.
And I guess Black Lives Matter means they want to be the winner too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I actually have a minority history degree from the University of Texas, and I wanted to decide for myself and learn for myself what the history was, since I love the blues. I wanted to learn everything there was about it, about the culture and everything that went with it, as well as other cultures, and that's what I did. So right now with the Black Lives Matter movement, was said, the veil's been lifted by video cameras, phone cameras. People can see. It's like, oh, this again? No, it's really, you can see that this is what's happening, and there's a bit of accountability with these cameras now. So yeah, it's time to give everybody a seat at the table for me.
Yeah. Real quick, I just want to say somebody else has joined the studio, but they're doing it through a YouTube page, so it doesn't give me their name. Since I'm the moderator, if you could please send me a private message so that I will know who you are and can be able to add you into the studio. Carrie, I didn't know that about your background. That's pretty impressive. I'm like, okay. Now I've got to watch that I say things right. I've got to really dig in my brain.
I mean, there's a lot of things to learn, like the Harlem Renaissance. You can go and learn about that. You can learn about W.E.B. Du Bois and Douglas, and a lot of those people that were marching along for the Black Lives Matter. Like you mentioned that it was going on for a long time. It's been going on for a long time, but
Yeah, 400
I
years.
I think the thing that's changing it now, seriously, is video cameras. You can no longer say "nuh-uh," so
Yeah.
which is great. It's awesome. So good.
Well, those cameras have caught some people doing some bad things to people of every race lately. Which I think tries to point home. It's like, to me, the Black Lives Matters movement is me going, hey, you deserve to be treated and given the benefit of the doubt. And now I think with all these things going on, some people are going, wait, hold on, I wasn't given the benefit of the doubt simply because I was saying, hey, I want to support my friends in the African American community, and they got attacked. So it's like, whoa, okay, that's crazy. I think for a small minute, some whites are going, oh, is this what it's like?
Yeah.
Is this the
Right.
daily struggle and fear? And
Right.
so it's like we need to discuss this and let all of our friends in the African American community, blues or not, let them know out loud, I'm here. How can I help? You deserve to be treated with respect, just like everybody else.
Right. In my opinion, I had a friend ask me, well, why is everybody making such a big deal about Black Lives Matter? I'm like, well, imagine this. Your kids go to school, there's lunches, there's infrastructure, there's funding. Your neighborhood, there's street lights and not potholes, and they keep upkeep of infrastructure, and programs are funded. And then a lot of these minority neighborhoods, the schools aren't funded enough. They don't have what they need in educational supplies. Their streets aren't taken care of with infrastructure, cleaning, upkeep, letting them know, hey, it matters to me that you live in a nice environment so you can learn and become something in life, and I value you. How can you value one kindergartner of a different color over another kindergartner of different race? It just doesn't make any sense. How are you going to get a fair shot? So these things that Black Lives Matters are saying is like, if we mattered, then why are you not treating us equal when it comes to our infrastructure, with our education, with our roads, with our schools, with our libraries?
The ability to get loans, the benefit of the doubt. It's kind of crazy to me.
Well, that's what shows them that their lives don't matter. I mean, funding. Just start with funding, let alone justice. Because I had to tell my son that when you come upon a police officer, yes sir, no sir, do what you're told, because sometimes it doesn't go how you think it should go. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? And to be happy, you need to do what it takes to, not really make them angry. You know what I'm saying? But then could you imagine if you have to tell your child, look, this could be a life or death situation, you might not come home. So, and I have an interracial family. I'd have to tell my grandson, you might not make it. You know what I mean? So that's not that. And well, why is that? Shouldn't I matter? Shouldn't I be able? When I look at these things, I'm like, dang, they got pulled over I couldn't imagine getting shot for not putting my blinker on. I couldn't imagine getting tased because I was 5 minutes late for a curfew. I could not imagine getting thrown to the ground and having my face mashed in the concrete because I was belligerent to a cop. You see, it doesn't happen. But because apparently, do I matter more, or is it fair? Is it just? I mean, it's just not even. So that's why we're saying, hey, don't we matter? So when those things matter, like the education, infrastructure, equal justice, the common consideration and courtesy of getting pulled over for a non-moving violation and not being assaulted and shoved into the ground and your head gnashed against a concrete curb, because hey, You know what I mean? So anyway, I'm a little passionate about that. So that is what Black Lives Matters means to me. It means, hey man, don't shoot. It's a cell phone. Don't shoot. It's a cigarette. Don't shoot.
You said exactly what I felt it meant, but I couldn't be as eloquent.
Oh, yeah, I'm a talker, but I mean, for real, I mean, don't shoot. It's my ID you just asked me for.
Yeah.
Don't shoot. I called you to help me because I think someone's being harmed behind my house. So that, they just equality for me, justice, common courtesy. Don't be drunk with power just because you don't understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and interesting to note, because I said earlier, I do believe that the majority of the blues world understands and supports BLM, whether they're vocalizing it or not. My desire to do this was based on a large group of African American women saying to me, some, because I spoke to a group of blues women, then I spoke to a group of women at my local BLM. There's another group that's doing a sit-in. So I've been having the conversations continuously. It is, that some people are just going to kind of going like this and going, but they're not going, hey, let's stop doing this. Let's stop hurting people in the name of justice, because there is no justice if it isn't equal. Somebody ripped the blinders off of the Lady Justice.
Right. I think it was Frederick Douglass that said the veil has been lifted. That when I think he had a child, and the veil was lifted of racism. When the veil's lifted and you see that it's not equal and fair, that's a very scary thing. And he said he didn't want to see that for his child, to have that innocence of life and love, and to be lifted. And basically the veil has been lifted. People are pissed off and they want change. You could say it any way you want, and that all lives matter. Yeah, all lives matter. But it's like going to a birthday party and say, hey, well, I have a birthday too.
Exactly. I've heard that before. Yeah.
I was about 16, I think it was 6 or 7 years old. If it was my sister's birthday, I got one little present. If it was my birthday, she got one little present. But I think that's because we were too little to kind of get. But as we got older, of course, that didn't happen. So, but I found that kind of humorous because of that.
Yeah.
I grew up in a mostly white community. There were not very many Black people, and I actually I didn't know any Black people, until I got older and started to venture to Denver more. I'm from Fort Collins. And Fort Collins has become a lot more diverse and a lot more supportive. And I guess something cool was that my mom got a degree in comparative culture when she went to college. And so she's been a philanthropist my whole life. And right now she gives clothes away to low-income families. And it's kind of a cool way to make friends in our community. And when more of the police videos started to surface, because people now have cameras, I realized just how unfair it is for our African American friends. It's a completely unfair system, and it got me to examine everything a little more deeply. And I feel kind of remorseful that I hadn't looked into it sooner.
But here's the point.
I'm glad that I'm here, and I'm every way that I can, I'm showing up and I'm trying to spread the gospel,
Well, you can do a lot. You can be a freedom fighter,
I got a sign. I'll go get my sign. My protest sign is in the other room.
We need the freedom fighters, Yeah. So, like Martin Luther King's wife said, she goes, just because the dreamer has passed away doesn't mean the dream has died.
Yeah.
So we gotta keep fighting the dream, And I think that we'll really have world, a one love situation when all people are treated equal. basically.
We're just hoping that this is the wave that takes us there.
It's one step closer. It's one step closer, and through raising citizens' voices, that's where you have change. So we just got to keep raising our voices and not let this be a fad. This is not just something to be part of. This is something. This is a lifestyle change. It is a lifestyle change.
Well,
of
here's
love.
the thing on that one. We've had multiple BLM protests and things going on around here. We had one that was done through the 1898 Foundation, and it was done fairly respectfully. Then we had one that got kind of grew big, and it got really strange because they started shooing everybody away, curfew, blah, blah, blah. They had everybody in the street, and the protesters started kneeling, and some cops started kneeling, and the cops on the other block started firing tear gas.
I saw that.
Yeah, and then afterwards, we've had more protests almost every single evening down at the courthouse. Nobody even seems to know they're happening except when you drive by, because there's nothing going wrong. The majority of problems actually came from the outside. Our own sheriff at the time in the newspaper stated that the majority of those that they actually arrested weren't even from here. So that's been one of my bigger fears about the BLM is people who don't want, and I think it's a small percentage of people, but I think that small percentage of people is heavily armed and hell bent on, pardon my language, but hell bent on fucking some shit up, and that worries me. But at the same time, I'm still going out there and I'm putting myself in situations where who knows, but because that's how important it is to me. And maybe some people aren't able to go out on their own, but that doesn't mean that they can't drop off some supplies. That doesn't mean they can't make a donation. That doesn't mean they can't, make a post, something to say, hey, your lives matter. It doesn't, to us, the color has no reasoning behind why it shouldn't.
Right.
Go ahead.
Like, what kind of things can we drop by if we're on our way somewhere and then we see a protest, but we have to be somewhere? Can we drop off like a pack of water and like burritos?
Water, hand sanitizer,
masks.
Masks.
Yeah.
Those are big important things.
Couple of pizzas, you're right. It's important. The masks and the sanitizers, of course, a lot of them do come with those. Some of them come with goggles, just in case of tear gas. I've started wearing my goggles when I go to the protest, just in case. But we're often out there for 2, 4, 5, 6 hours in a row, and a lot of them are young folks who they can't call Grubhub to bring them some food. So those pizzas or a signboard, things they can utilize.
Meredith, the biggest thing you can do to help, and the biggest thing everyone can do to help, is to vote. To vote for the people. Vote for the people that are going to fight for equal justice and equality for people of color. Vote for the people that are going to work on infrastructure in the neighborhoods, the schooling and job opportunities for people of color. You have to vote. You vote. Rise up and vote. That's the biggest thing. That's the best thing that anyone can do, is to vote for. That's how we make our change. We raise our voices, but the biggest voice we have is to vote, I think. So, yeah.
And the crazy part is some of the most recent elections over the last few months have shown that voices are being raised, and that I'm very proud. I'm proud of our world to see. And as I said earlier, I stopped using the term privilege. I'm using benefit of the doubt because I've had so much benefit of the doubt in my life. I'm still naive enough to believe that there are ways for us all to come together. And it's like, there's black, there's white, there's gray. I love them all. Unless they're a douchebag. I always reserve the right to dislike a douchebag, no matter where they come from.
Yes. The deal is with racism, it's just such a deep root. We have to keep pulling and tugging and fighting to pull it out,
Yeah.
because it's been going on for so long. You have to roll up your sleeves and fight and pull and tug and do everything we can to stomp it out, to remove it, to kill it. And people are going to get angry because everybody likes a certain standard of living that they're accustomed to, and nobody likes to share a piece of their pie. It's time to stop. It's time to start thinking past the nose on your face. It is time to start thinking as a collective and not an individualism. This is a global problem. And the only way that we're going to change it is to unite together and raise our voices, vote, and keep marching until it happens, I believe. I don't know. I don't mean to preach. Let me step off my soapbox, but that's just what I believe. So,
Pretty
yeah.
Oh my. I did get a message. Teeny, who is supposed to be joining us, seems to be having some sort of tech difficulties. She's tried and couldn't get in. So I'm kind of bummed that she won't be able to join us, but the tech stuff can be a pain in the tuchus sometimes. The system works better on a computer or on a tablet than it does on a phone, and a lot of people don't have computers anymore. They only use phones and tablets. We've gotten so mobile. It's kind of crazy, but I love that. I love the fact that I'm still naive enough to think that we can work this out. It's funny because I keep hearing people say, "Oh, Michelle, you're right, but it's not. You'll be dead and gone before this ever gets settled." And it's like, it's really not that hard to fix the systematic racism, because I think a lot of it stems from that. The way I phrase it is, we went from outright slavery to systematic slavery. And it's not all African Americans who are stuck in that. And there are some whites who are even stuck in that system, especially in certain socioeconomic groups in certain areas of the country that are kind of cloistered and and have their own sort of little microcosm going on. And I'd like to see, I'd like to see people in the blues world, if they can't go, hey, BLM, I'd love to see them, post something about, hey, redlining is not cool. Redlining shouldn't be happening. If they got the money, I shouldn't have a problem with somebody who's a different skin color than me in my neighborhood. If they're good people, they got the money for the house, why shouldn't they have it? I don't think it's impossible to go to these large banks and things like that and go, hey, turn down somebody for a loan based on their skin color. Come on, you can fix that. The things that are still big problems actually are not big fixes. They're a lot simpler if anybody would do it. And it's like, this is the status quo, and there's the trickle down with law enforcement. I was having a debate on the BLM with several people, and a guy I know who was very much in support of the BLM. I mean, he's in support. He started bringing up George Floyd's criminal background, and I was like, no, 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 no.
That's victim shaming.
Totally.
And, well, it's not just victim shaming. In certain communities, it's not uncommon for everybody to have a record because they got arrested over some bullshit. And then they had to pay fines for it. And then when they couldn't afford the fines for it, they spent a weekend in jail.
And you pay your debt to society, and then you get to go back out. And I also want to change one thing that I said. It was not Frederick Douglass. It was W.E.B. Du Bois that said the veil was lifted. I don't want to be some white chick on here quoting Black history, African American history, and get it wrong. So thank you for letting me say that. So yeah, you are right. It needs to change at the banks. It needs to change, equality. It's about equality. So yeah. I agree.
And law enforcement, I think. See, I do know several police officers who are wonderful human beings. I even know one that, like, her neighborhood's got her back. That's how wonderful she is. The community she serves, they got her back. and it's a mixed community, and they all love her. But everyone's in this rush to defund the police, and I do know that it has worked in some communities, but I think there are more ways than just breaking down police departments. It's supposing that every one of them is bad. That's almost to me as bad as supposing every Black person is a criminal.
Well, I think the reason why they're saying they should really change the topic about that and say reform the police, but the reason why they say defund is because that's where they're going to get some goats. That's what. Well, hey, we better straighten up. It's greed and greed for money and power. Oh no, they're going to take our funding away. But if those special groups and interests are not willing to do what it takes to abide by the law, and do what it takes to equally protect all of the citizens, then yeah, that should be defunded and put the funding towards infrastructure for the community. Then and I do not believe that every police officer should show up and use violence and a force of violence. I mean, it needs to change, man. I mean, you shouldn't get slammed to the ground because you're belligerent or disrespectful to a cop. I don't care what race you are. I think a lot of them are power, and they need to stop doing that, and they need to be held accountable. Just like a doctor, they get insurance in case they accidentally harm someone, but they want to make sure that they're doing everything to the best of their ability. They want to hold them accountable. There's committees, but police, they do not have any of that. They don't have no checks and balances. We need checks and balances.
Yeah, well, see, qualified immunity is part of what removed those checks and balances. Once they gave them qualified immunity, they could and still can do anything they want. And other than currently now some of them losing their job, they'll never have to pay for those crimes.
Exactly. And the deal is, nobody's saying dismantle the police. They're saying defund the police, reform the police, stop killing us, don't shoot, it's a cell phone.
Yeah.
Dear Lord, I don't understand what people don't understand. And to tell you quite truthfully, I'm not trying to throw myself under the bus, but I'm in an all African American band, and we've gone all over, east to west, up, down, Canada, all over. And I've seen how the other members in our band are treated versus me. And quite as kept, they're pure as a driven snow. And I might have a few issues, but they judged it wrong. I even told the Border Patrol, looks like you got that one wrong, buddy. And he was kind of turned red. I mean, we need to quit assuming, because when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. That's what I told him. But we got to quit judging people. You can't judge a book by its color. It's by the cover. It's just the dumbest thing ever. It's dumb. It's stupid.
I love the phrase "content of their heart." MLK.
Right. It's the character of your heart.
Yeah.
Not the color of your skin. Absolutely. Yeah. But there's so many things that can be changed, man. There's just so much that can be changed. And I know you were talking about how people get nervous. They don't say. I feel the same way. Sometimes I want to say, yeah, this is wrong. And then somebody will post on the internet, well, I just want to hear from Black people. I don't want to hear from white people. Or they go, dear white people, and say, like, blanket statements need to stop. Because now there's a lot of mixed families out there. There's a lot of people that have mixed children. And if you could judge them just by looking at them and thinking that they hate all Black people, and then they can have a beautiful baby of color in the car seat. It's just, we have to at some point stop judging a book by its cover. You know what I mean? And we got to allow people to help, without jamming on them. But I understand the defensive of it. I understand it completely. You're gun shy. You're gun shy, no pun intended. Just are. But I think if we all come together as a collective and just say, hey, I'm here to support you. I don't have all the answers, and I validate your pain. I have empathy for your pain, and I may not know what to do to change it, but I know I want to be part of the solution, in my opinion.
Yes. So how do we get more people in the blues world and more whites in general to say something? And not because I don't believe that everybody has to go stand out on the protest like I do. I don't think everybody has to, post on a regular basis.
Right, at least once.
say something once, stand up.
Well, the deal is though, is we can jump in and out of it when we feel like it. If we get too stressed out, we can go home and it's no big deal. But people of color have to deal with it every day, 365 days a week, every year, for their whole entire being on the planet. And for us to jump in and out of it. So the biggest way, if we don't want to be a civil rights advocate like that for a 24/7 or whatnot, it's your vote. Start convincing people to vote. Go and see who is doing the moving and shake, the mover and shaker things, and vote for them. Tell other people, hey, you want change? We want to make every equality for all and have a huge change in our society. This is who we think you should vote for. I may not be out there, screaming and chanting and doing whatever, but I can campaign and guide and educate people where they can vote, or educate them. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them doing wonderful things, but we need to tell our white counterparts, hey man, we need to shame them.
My opinion on that is the only time shame works at all is when your mama looks at you and says shame, shame. Because when your mama looks at you and says shame, shame, every being of your heart will break.
Whatever the nice way to say shame is, I felt like I should retract that statement. But it's like, dang man, come on, really? This is incredible, because I'll tell you the experience I had. I was in an African American history class at the University of Texas. I was the only Caucasian person in the class of maybe about 70. And the professor said, okay, I want everybody to go around and tell us your experience with racism. And every single one in that class stared at me while they told their story. I was in tears. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't do it. But we have to, there's a lot of change that needs to happen. But that was one way that I could change myself, is to go and be educated and to see the plight and to learn about the history and know who the creator of these inventions actually were, and know who some of the groundbreakers were, truthfully, and try to hear all 70 of those stories look me straight in the face so I can get a huge dose of empathy. And I've never been the same since, and they even say, I'm sorry, I know it's not you, but I believe it was a little bit therapeutic for them. I know it was for me. But we can educate ourselves, is what I'm saying. We can educate ourselves instead of listen to respond. Let's listen to understand. Let's listen to learn. Let's listen to be empathetic. Let's listen to make change. That's what I say. So, yeah.
And I think you make a valid point that people need to listen. I think that a lot of people, when it's come to this, have gotten defensive for one reason or another. Sometimes the defensiveness is based out of lack of understanding. Sometimes the defensiveness is fear. Sometimes the defensiveness is feeling lost in it. And me personally, voting is one thing, but to me, because this is more of a humanitarian issue than a political issue, I think it's also like when somebody says something, like for instance, a lot of us women.
Well, local voting, like where you live, your neighborhood is more what I mean. That's where you get the most of your change,
But we also, one of the things that we've seen change as women is like certain things like harassment stuff in the workplace, or guys treating, like it's an all boys network and blah, blah, blah. And we've learned to go, hey, don't say that. I think that more white people, when they hear certain things said, no matter who says it, should be able to go, that's not cool. And then more of us should do that. As opposed to just, okay, this whole crowd is watching this happening and everyone's kind of going, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Why is nobody saying, And if more of us go, not cool, we start to get certain things out of our vernacular. We start to make it a known thing. It's not about political correctness. It's about, getting people to realize, no, that's not a cool thing to say at any time in any way. And it's not cool to treat people like that, and not to laugh it off when somebody makes a joke that's racist. not to laugh it off when somebody, says, oh, well, he's a good old boy, blah, blah, blah. Dude, he's just a nice human being. Stop with that. We change the vernacular by insisting the vernacular change. And in society, we've done that multiple times through our history. The political correctness movement got a little out of hand. Then you couldn't say anything, but there's a difference between saying crazy stuff and saying mean, vile, racist stuff.
Definitely. And I would say none of us here are doing that, but I've also heard it said that like you also don't want to like qualify. You don't want to qualify. You don't have to qualify a person, a friend of color. You don't have to say like, oh, he's black. Oh, and he's so nice or whatever. You don't have to say something like,
give a disclaimer.
Like you don't have to say something nice because in your head you're like, oh my God,
No, you're right. You don't have to give a disclaimer. Yeah, that's great.
I've had that disclaimer for years. I still sometimes have problems though, because some people know that I also work with film. I've done some work with film and casting, and it's one of the few areas of the world where we break it down and go, okay, we need an African American male between 17 and 24. We need an Asian woman between 30 and 40. We need and so I still often, it's not so much a disclaimer to me, it's an identifier.
Well, that right there is context. That would be context. But
I sometimes bring it into other conversation without doing it, and then people think it's a disclaimer, and it's like, no, I'm sorry.
Did you watch Aziz Ansari's show, Master of None? It's a really cool show. It's really funny. But there's an episode where he's showing up for a casting thing, and it's all Indian guys, and the production can only cast one Indian guy, and the whole episode is like kind of exposes this inherent racism in the casting industry as well, and it's an interesting show to say the least.
Well, one thing that I talk to my friends about and that I do is you hear a lot of people say, well, that black guy over there, they describe with the color before me. It's like, oh yeah, that guy over there. I went out with my friend. You stop putting all these adjectives in front of people, like that's my friend over there. I don't say that's my black friend over there. Say that's my friend over there. Or yes, the lady at the counter, not the black lady at the counter. We need to stop that.
Yeah. That's my quarter.
That's a small way.
Partly black. Partly.
Yeah. Nobody says, oh, that Heinz 57 white chick over there. Okay.
I know. Maybe. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's usually worse than that. If they're describing a white person, it is not that way.
Yeah, the cracker term comes to mind.
Ghost over there.
There's a movie called Crash. It's an older movie, and it's we had to watch it in one of our classes.
I saw that.
It's great about explaining a lot of that with this topic, So.
Yeah.
And with police, with people of color, with people, all different variations. I recommend that as a movie. It's called Crash. It's real good. It's really deep. You'll cry, but it really gives you a look at a slice of the American condition with this subject. But the best we can do is just keep loving, keep being kind. I mean, it starts with us. So let's just keep doing the next best right thing, whether it be what we verbalize out of our mouth, whether it be, I know there's a pandemic, but a handshake, a hug, or, I noticed at the store we're doing head nods, and they're head nodding me back, or, because you don't get smile because you have a mask on. So, no charming facial personality there. So. Head nod.
I feel bad for little kids right now, because little kids look up at you when you got the mask on, and they're like, because they can't read your face yet. They don't get the subtleties of the eyes when they're really little. And so they're just kind of looking up at you. And so I try to wiggle with them.
Things are really changing. So, but, and another deal is I get so upset when people are like, oh, them looters, those rioters. Look,
Yeah.
man, you can't put a blanket thing on this, man. I'd say 85 to 90% of the protesters are so sick and tired of this inequality, racist condition that they are willing to play chicken with the virus because they need change. Enough is enough. You know what I'm saying? So they are protesters. Not everybody out there is bad, so don't say looters, rioters. They're protesters. There's a few people out there.
Here's the funny part. Even our dear leaders, Department of Justice, found little to no Antifa involvement in any of the looting or rioting, but found an awful lot of bugaloos.
Antifa is not even a group. They're such morons. It's an ideology. It's like reading a book. And it means anti-fascism. You're against fascism. I mean, and it's not even, oh, Lord, oy vey. It's just.
Like a ball.
Oy vey. Thank you.
But.
Do we have all the Jews in the house? Is that what's going on here?
What?
Do we have all the Jews in the house? Like, mother, I'm identified as Jewish.
Yeah, but I mean that should say something. People are like, oh, the virus is going, but because they're looting and protesting. No, that it's a combination of things. And yes, I watched those them protest, and I was like, oh, I'm so scared for those people. I pray, Lord Jesus, you rain down health on everyone so they can fight for equality and be okay, Lord. I'm not trying to bring religion into it, but that's what I was doing. I was praying for all these people, and I said, they are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and enough is enough, and they are willing to play chicken with the virus to try to get some change. And guess what? It's changing. Oh, I mean, look how quick things are changing as far as the police being arrested for whatever, reform conversations on the knee on the neck, reform conversations on checks and balances with police. I mean, they're making real change. And I don't know why people are upset about it, but I'm very happy. And I think that they should scream till they have no voice if that's what it takes to change things.
And we should join them.
Well, I'll ooh-wee from home because I'm in the vulnerable category, but what I will do is vote, and what I will do is on social media, stand up. I cannot tell you, at the beginning of this, I wrote on my mirror, on my grease board, how many friends I had on Facebook, and the more I fought the All Lives Matter people, it just kept ticking down and down. I was like, cool, I don't mind it, but I knew
spend about an hour a day, like, responding to some hateful racist on some social media software,
Oh, yeah, I've been killing them with kindness. Like some guy last night goes, isn't America awesome? I'm like, yep, and you have an awesome night. Good night. And they hearted it. I'm like, oh, well, that's how you quiet a racist. Silly. Oh, anyway, okay. But
Yeah,
where's your people at? Where's your people at, Michelle? I'm talking
Just watching us.
Well, I already know. I knew that one of our artists in the West Coast was going to be coming later. One of Teeny can't seem to get in. Teeny Tucker, she's tried to get in. We have a blues woman who's actually here with us, but she's watching in the background, and she is using a Pocket account. So I don't know if she wants me to name her or not. But she, wanted to listen and hear what we were talking about. And we do have a few viewers. Our count has gone up and down a few times on the little reader over here. So depending upon which device, we've got different numbers of people watching. And this panel wasn't about bringing everybody on here to do some blaming and naming and things like that. It was to get, and without sounding like I'm putting a disclaimer out there, it was to get some white folks talking about the Black Lives Matter movement, because this is what, and again, not as a disclaimer, but this is what a group of African American women have been telling me it was time.
I've read some of that, and we need a lot more white people than 3 people. Come on now. I'm going to say it. Dear white people.
I wonder if some are afraid to talk, and so I'm hoping.
Well, yeah, they are afraid. I'm sure they get jammed.
Yeah, and I've often worried about being a target for doing this, but then I tell myself, as far as the color of the skin, I'm not the target other people are on a regular basis.
Do I deserve to live, more than them?
Well, I want to live, but I want everybody to live. And no, the answer is no. That's why they're screaming Black Lives Matter. That's why we want equality. We want justice. No justice, no peace. We need justice. We need a policing that is more about community than being right and powerful and kicking everybody's ass.
We've just had a very beautiful woman join us, and I'm not sure if her camera's on, but if she is ready, I'm going to add her to the stream. Hopefully she's ready. Somewhere in there is this beautiful Erica Brown.
Erica!
I don't know if she's got her camera up and running yet. Ed, here you are, beautiful woman. How are you?
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. I can't. My connection seems to be unstable, so I'm going to do the best I can here. But can you speak so I can figure out if I can hear you?
Yeah.
If you can hear this, say lollipop.
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you. Can you hear us?
I'm hearing you on and off, so I'm going to do the best I can here. I'm not sure what's going on.
It's good to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's good to be seen.
So, Erica, since you're here, we've been talking about, the BLM. We've been talking. We lost her. She's having a connection problem. I think, again, I mentioned earlier, a lot of people are trying to join with a telephone, and unless you're right next to your Wi-Fi, it can be a problem on a telephone. It works much better on a computer or a device of some sort, like get yourself, if you got a tablet of some sort. So hopefully she'll be able to get back in, because y'all, I don't know if you know, Erica not only has been, at the top of the International Blues Challenge, she's also an amazing. She's hosted a lot of our live streams. She's this amazing host, and she really gets to know the artists, and she starts talking to them. She draws them out in such ways. Wait, there she is. Let's see if we can get her back on. She draws them out, and I just absolutely love her. All right, we got you back, honey.
Hi, Erica.
Hi. I'm still having problems with my audio for some reason. So I'm going to hang in there and hopefully we can get through this.
I hear you.
It's sounding better this time around.
Oh, dear. Your voice is coming through so garbled. I'm sorry.
Sometimes headsets.
No thing.
Hey, Erica, use headset.
I think it's more a
I'm
connection.
sorry?
I think it's a connection. Yeah. So you mentioned that, why don't white people speak up more? And somebody said because they're scared. Well, my answer to that is have some courage, man, and fight through your fears and raise your voice against it. Because I don't think being scared is a good enough excuse. You need to nut up and do what's right and raise your voice, because just think about it. We're scared for somebody to not like us. People are scared for their lives, so it's time to get past that fear. And so what? You get your feelings hurt. You fall down, you get up, you dust your knees off, and you fight the good fight some more. So I don't think being scared should be an excuse anymore. It's time to join the fight no matter who you are. And if people get mad, that's okay, because everybody has a story, and has had some bad things happen to them, so you don't know where they're coming from, and you can't assume everybody's experiences are the same as yours. You can't assume that everybody has the same heart as you do. So you just gotta put the fear aside and say what's right, and tell your white counterparts to, like you said, hey, don't say that. Hey, don't do that. That's not right. If you're going to do that, then I'm out of here. Who's with me? Come on, guys. Let's
Yeah.
get out of here. This guy sucks.
Yeah,
That's what you do.
yeah. Okay, so Erica
Oh, horrible.
is going in and out. I want to message her. We hear you great. So if you want, oh, we lost her again. All right, I'll wait for her to get back in. Yeah, her signal is going out. I feel so bad. And by the way, Carrie, thanks for like agreeing with the whole like let's let's actually speak up, because again, yeah, voting counts, but to me, saying something, going to tisk, we need to change the vernacular as well as change what's going on within the legal system, what's going on in the banking system, what's going on in the mortgage system.
But
These
change
things.
those systems, the vote is what's going to change that. And then on a personal level, we can change our peers around us and educate them to say, hey, that's not right. Don't do that. Don't say that. But as far as the banking system, the educational system, the political, everything that you mentioned, the vote is what's going to change it. That's the most powerful tool we as a citizen have if we can stop the gerrymandering. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. The thing to me that's interesting when I tell members of the blues community actually talking about it is, knowing the history of blues, knowing where it came from. And I've had a few people go, well why should we do that? That should go to a country music. And then I have to go, well, did you know that one of the first people to ever sing a country song on the Grand Ole Opry was actually a black man? So yeah, okay, let's honor, that culture too. Yes, country broadened out, but it also has some roots within the African American culture. It's not solely a white music, but it's been painted as such by whoever for a long time.
Yeah, but there's some real big inequalities there too.
Yeah, it's a whitewashing of history. History has been whitewashed. It's like in high school we're taught that the North fought to free the slaves. Then you grow up and you read a whole ton of books and you find out that was no intention whatsoever. It was accidental because a couple of dudes who managed to get away from their masters got to a fort in the North, and a big old fight started about whether or not they were property. And then they became spoils of war and contraband and all this other verbiage that meant, well, the masters couldn't have them back. And this spurred on, the changes that happened that actually caused the freedom and the Emancipation Proclamation to come out, not the actual Civil War.
Yeah, so it's been a fight, hand, tooth, and nail the whole way.
Yeah. And again, I'm old enough to remember fighting this in the 60s and 70s, and I'm still watching. Redlining was happening back then. It's not as overt now, but it's still happening. Back then, even now, you'll see people in rougher neighborhoods. They've got, the banks won't give them loans for a house that they want, even if they qualify. So they got a nice car and a crappy house. And it's not just in the African American community. And it happens. A lot of people get marginalized. It's just disproportionate, the level that it's happening to the African American community.
Yeah. Well, again, vote. Vote, and stop your racist friends from saying racist things around you. All right, guys, I
can't stop them. I let go of them.
Yeah, I gotta go, and okay. I appreciate y'all having me part of this. And I love you, and your hair looks pretty.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad you were part of the discussion, and hopefully we'll continue to have discussions and they'll grow over time. I know that this is sort of on a lower scale, and Erica's trying to get back in, so I'm going to try to add her.
I'm going to wait for Erica a little longer and see if she can get in.
Well, Thank you, Carrie. I look forward to meeting both of you on the Blues Highway, and let's talk soon.
Yay! Mwah! Honey.
Thanks, Carrie.
And let's see if we got Erica back yet. Erica's having tech problems.
Come on.
Like, the best laid plans of mice and men. the only good thing here is I had a few people that were worried that if we did the panel, that it would become this angry, situation with people, naming and shaming. And Erica,
It's a friendly discussion. Come on in.
I'm trying.
Uh,
I can see you just fine, but the voices are just cutting in and out. I am so sorry.
oh, it's not your fault. Sometimes that just happens.
yeah, so she's having a hard time hearing it, so I'm messaging her. Erica, I don't know if you've heard any of the discussion or not. Let me type this to her. I don't know if you've heard any of the discussion, but we welcome
She said, I don't know if you heard any of the discussion, but we welcome you to speak.
is fine.
Your sound is fine.
I can't even tell. This is so bad. I can't even tell when anybody's talking or not. I'm sorry.
Look at the messages. Oh, wait. Hold on. I'll find a way to do this. Wait, is that chat?
Yeah, the chat.
Chat.
Okay. Yeah, let's try chat.
Yeah, we can type. We can type what we say. You speak. I hope she's
I
seeing
can
that.
type answers.
It'll be beautiful.
Ask
Yours
away. I can type answers.
is coming through. Can ask you.
I hear you. I hear you.
Okay, hopefully she.
Oh, okay.
What would you like to add to the discussion on Guru's family speaking up more? Okay. All right, so I've sent that to her. I wonder if there's a delay in getting to her.
Oh dear. Well,
What?
I'm not sure if this is going to work for me or not, but I'm waiting on somebody to type me a question, and maybe that's what you guys are doing.
Yes. I wonder why she doesn't see it yet. Maybe because oh, she might be looking at the main chat. Hold on. Oh, did we lose her again? We lost her again.
I know. I was just retyping it in one thing.
I'm like,
Oh, was that in live comments she's looking?
that's what I'm wondering. But she was talking in here because she saw when I typed, your sound is coming through fine. We can answer out loud. She said, okay. But I don't think I put a question mark on my question, and that might have thrown her off.
Oops.
I can see my niece right now going, oh, you need an editor. Yes, I do. I have a feeling it's going to be a struggle for her to get here, and as opposed to dragging this out, maybe it's time to cut it. Let me call her real quick because
Yeah, just call her on the phone.
yeah, put her on speaker.
I think she has a lot to say about this.
Yes. Let's see if I can get her on speaker. It's ringing. But if she tries to log back in, she may not be able to get it. Yeah, I've got her voicemail. She might be trying to log back in. Let me try one more time. I don't want to bug her, but you know. I know all these people. I've gotten a couple of other messages from other people who are having tech issues. It's like, well,
We'll have to do this again, and because this is kind of like our technology tech run.
yeah, there you go. But we'll get everybody very specific details. Yeah, I'm still getting her answering machine, so she's, like I said, she's probably trying to get back in. Maybe I should let her know, because what I think we should do is go ahead and call this one, even though we originally said we'd go until 9 p.m. I don't want to like keep you here, and I don't think anybody wants to sit and listen to me talk for the next half hour. Because all
We can, you know, whatever you want to do. Yeah, maybe we should wrap it.
Yeah, exactly. That's you know, I'm gonna try to let her know that we're gonna wrap it up so that she's not struggling to get in. And
Well, can I just conclude with a few thoughts here?
oh, and look who's back.
Oh, is she back?
Who's back? Let's see if she can
Hey,
hear us.
say something.
Still getting no audio.
That's
We hear you. I love when Erica does that. She often does that when she's reading something, and it's always so cute to me.
it's garbled. She can't hear us. Can you hear us?
The audio is still really garbled. But well, we faced hardships before, right?
Oh, we need to start the fund. Get Erica better internet.
Right? And I just copied and pasted your question to her, so hopefully she'll see it.
I can't understand you. I hate to say that, but I can't understand a word you're saying. Somebody type me.
Oh no.
We can move this over to Zoom.
Zoom does not. It's different for the broadcasting, because this is actually broadcasting live to our YouTube channel, and it's supposed to be live on the Facebook channel, but for some reason those links didn't pop up the way they're supposed to. And even though I've connected them through the broadcast,
Right.
it's supposed to put it out to all of the locations at once. But it looks like it's only going to our YouTube, and so I had to then put the YouTube link out for people to view it elsewhere. And so it's been, yeah, this has definitely been a tech challenge nightmare. And I'm going to try one more time to call Erica and see if I can get her on the speaker. And if not, we'll go ahead and call this. Poor Erica. Teeny couldn't get in. Erica couldn't get in. No one could get in.
Not getting enough Erica today.
Yeah, no, I've got a few other messages here of people who were trying to get in and can't get in. And
Well, how about what if I bow out? Will it like make more bandwidth for her?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't work that way. Unfortunately, no. It's all based on. Most likely, she's on a mobile device, and so it's probably just making it difficult. So, all right. Before we shut it down, do you have anything you'd like to say?
I was gonna say, like, this was a great discussion. I hope we can do it again. You know, after more people are after we figure out everybody's communication way, like, because I think maybe we all need like a laptop or a webcam or something high speed. But anyways, the most important thing is that we talked about some very important racial issues, and we talked about why Black Lives Matter, and we talked about the origins of blues and the history of African American culture in our country, and what we can do if we're white to further this, to further rights and humanitarianism. And that's a very good goal that we should all share. And that I think we share.
Yeah, I do share the same goals with you, and it was nice also to get perspective from Carrie because her education was
Carrie was amazingly vocal about it, and she had some great points, and she filled in a lot of gaps for anyone that might be listening.
yeah, I agree with you. And hopefully, what we can do is figure out the tech stuff so that the next time we do this, that we can have more people involved
Yeah.
as well as viewing it, and I'll solve whatever caused it not to automatically go to every place that I connected it to. I'll have to work the kinks out on that. Meredith,
Yeah.
thank you for being here. Carrie, thank you for having been here. Our secret person, No Way, thank you for listening in. Erica, thank you for trying. Teeny,
Thank you, Erica. We have to talk again soon.
yeah, and Teeny Tucker, thank you for trying too. I'm sorry you couldn't get in. And we will try this again. We will try to work out the kinks on the tech stuff. Again, this panel was about the silence is deafening in the blues world with the BLM, and not to shame anyone, not to name anyone, not to have any kind of cancel culture, but to have the discussions that are difficult to have, and to show our support for the very people who are the sons and daughters of where the music we love came from. Let's remember that and love them and show them our support in whatever way we are able. Y'all have a great one. Thanks so much, Meredith.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.